welcome to the third episode of the Brokers and Booze podcast. I'm here with
Chris Ward. I'm the broker in charge of Eagle Realty.
Bill Yates, broker in charge for Sands Realty, Sands Property Management.
And I'm Nick Sowers with Beach Connection Realty. This podcast, we have some drinks. We talk about items in the real estate industry that also, surprisingly enough, apply to other business lines, other industries. We hope you get some value out of this today. If not, you can at least get some ideas of drinks. So today we are going to be discussing a red wine. Bill, would you introduce it for us?
In February, I was lucky enough to go to the Banner Elk and check out a variety of their wine selection. Today we're going to be tasting a Cabernet, and we also have with us a couple other selections that we can talk about later.
Okay, what I noticed off the bat was this American Cabernet. I've been to Banner Elk. If you guys don't know where that is, that's in North Carolina. So it's about 5.5 hours from where we are here in the Myrtle Beach area. I've been there multiple times, and I've never drank any of their local wines up there.
You haven't?
I have not had any.
So the first time I went up there, this winery sits in, it's a beautiful little place to go visit, spend the afternoon drinking wine. But the first time I went there, did the wine tasting, super impressed with the wine. This was probably back 4 or 5 years ago. The first time I was up there, super impressed with the wine. How they are today, I haven't been up there recently. Bill's been there more recently than I have, but
the ambiance is beautiful. They've got nice fireplaces, big fireplaces.
A lot of red wines my wife doesn't like. She likes a lot of the Banner Elk red wines.
Yeah, it's a beautiful vineyard.
So.
Interesting. Okay. All right. And we don't quite know the vintage. I think we were discussing
2016,
beforehand.
I believe.
We think it's a 2016.
Yep.
Good year for red. Cheers.
Cheers. Common theme in our first couple episodes is smooth. This is smooth for me.
That's usually the quality of
The
beverages I purchase. No one likes too bitey.
Yeah, and that is a much sweeter red than what I would expect from a Cab. Not that it's bad; it's just a different structure than some of what I would say is a little bit more drier, heavier red Cabernet with a little bit darker fruit, blueberry and grape. This has a little bit more plum and like a lighter tartness to it.
I think out of their entire line that they offer, it's a little bit more silky, smooth, like you originally said.
I remember
It's got a nice, it's not too bitter, too dry, it's a little fruity.
I remember when I was up there, them telling us about how, part of the grapes that go into this is they actually brought a line of grapes over from France.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a unique section of mountain where they knew they could grow similar grape to what they were growing over there.
Interesting.
It doesn't surprise me, at least me, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a huge like my palate's so refined as a red drinker, but I know a lot of the reds that I like or that I've had are more expensive reds, which we said this retails at about $50 up there, which I think they put a little tourist tax on. It's a little extra probably than what it would actually go for in like a wine store, but I can see where you mentioned your wife. Like I can see where white or rosé drinkers have no problem, like a rosé switching to this kind of red, and they're thinking it's more of a heavy, like dry Cab, or a Malbec, or even if you're going into like a mix between like a Cab and like a Petite Syrah or something like that. It has that more. It's just tardy. It's more fruity. It's easier to drink for the lighter wine drinkers than like the serious red drinkers.
True.
Not that that's bad. It's just different than what I was.
I don't know why this taste keeps coming to me, but it has a little Twizzler.
It's candy just in general. Like cherry and plum. I taste a lot of cherry and plum in it. So if you do like candy, that's interesting. All right, sorry. I like the wine. Tell me what are the other two? We're not tasting the other two for this episode, but
The other one is
you want to pronounce that?
Sanguinese.
Yeah.
It's an American.
It looks like a Christmas bottle, to be honest. It just has that tone.
They just started making these. When I was up there, they were not carrying this wine. So
They only had a case left, and that's why I decided to buy it.
And what was the other one over there?
it's
Just a classic red wine.
Red blend.
Okay, red blend.
It's a red blend. Yep.
All right, which again, I'm surprised. I bet that red blend is it sweeter than this? Because if this is a true cab,
Yes.
that blend's gotta be.
It's a little bit lighter too.
Actually, they describe it as, you know, a French-American hybrid grapes, medium-bodied with lots of flavor. Hearty red wine, it can be enjoyed with most meats, game, and strong cheeses. I wouldn't surprise me if this has a little more bite than the cab.
I'm imagining a Syrah Noir mix, kind of a Petit Syrah with a Pinot Noir type body type feel, like I said, a little lighter than the body, but maybe the same kind of tang and like tart. I don't know. Well, we didn't
That's
taste
one
it.
way to find out.
And we may get to it on this episode.
Yeah.
So, all right, Mr. Nick,
So,
what do we got?
time to go into real estate.
I think we're time to go into real estate, right?
Time to go real estate. Last episode was a little spicy, so maybe this has potential more from our own opinions than probably from the opinions of the audience. But we're going to talk about websites that, and I specifically was thinking this way, websites that put reviews out on it, and when you scroll through 3 pages of them and there's not one negative review, and the comment I made is I question the validity of the review process. Now, I'm not talking about your Zillows, your Airbnbs, all that. I'm talking about on your own webpage specifically. Like, if you do only put good reviews on your own webpage.
So when it's your personal webpage, I don't trust any of the reviews. unless you do find that mix, because I think you can actually publish your own content. And, you know, it's kind of the same thing as going to ask all your good clients to write your review. You're not going to ask the guy that wanted to start a litigation lawsuit. So now, if you go to third-party sites like Zillow, Realtor.com, obviously you have much less control of the content. So I trust those a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Chris, do you have reviews on your website?
I do. I have reviews on my personal website and
Rated by Chris Ward.
No, but I do. I actually agree with you. I actually agree in the sense that when I send out a review, which is part of just kind of our post-closing procedure with clients and that kind of thing, and hopefully I've done my job for them to submit a good review for me. Now, if they don't submit a good review, and like I said, it's my personal website, am I going to publish? I have the ability to publish or not to publish that. And I can see what some of these comments we're about to look at. I think it's harder. This is just opinion and psychology. I think if I send a review form to a client that I've worked with and that I believe had a successful transaction, and I'm saying it's for my website, that if they really didn't like it or like me or want to work with me or had a bad transaction, because it's my personal review, I don't think they're going to fill it out.
Okay, what if
I don't think they're going to send it to me.
What if you got a bad review back? Are you putting it on your website?
I'd probably want to talk to the client first before I publish it, but in all honesty, yeah, probably not on my personal website. It's just not like I wouldn't think to do that, and maybe this is because I would accept and like read all reviews, but I don't like keeping negative stuff out there like that.
Well, no one wants negative reviews, and obviously they keep their image as high as possible.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question about that though. Let's flip the coin.
Yeah.
What if you did post all your bad reviews?
No.
And what if it's the whole Eminem 8 Mile concept of I'm going to go and tell you everything bad about me?
And that is actually a good sales
So
strategy.
then everybody knows up front, oh, if they read reviews, okay, he doesn't always get back to me within 24 hours. Well, then they're not mad at you when you don't get back to them within 24
from a
hours.
business standpoint, I know a broker that goes around to all of his listings and he makes a video and points out how awful the landscaping is and what you can do to improve it, how the paint's terrible, how the flooring needs to be redone. By the time you make an offer, you cannot downgrade the house and say how awful it is any more than the broker's already told you. So
what if you did that as an agent?
So I get that.
just qualify yourself
Or as a
flag.
company. Like,
Okay.
this is what we're not good at.
Yeah, this is
All right.
next, please.
So wait. So if that's the case, and I think this is so case by case scenario
Yeah.
to an extent,
Yeah.
and I think a majority of people, again, I still stick to won't fill it out if they really have negative something to say. But if something happened during your transaction in an individual situation, and they give you, and it doesn't have to be like 0 out of 5 stars, but I mean they give you 3 or 4 stars or 2 out of 5 stars because something happened, and they want to point out a fault. If it's factual, then yeah, I agree with your theory.
Yep.
But if you disagree with it, if they say they didn't get back to me fast enough, and you're like, oh, you mean that one time I was at my kid's basketball game for an hour and I didn't respond to you right away? Like, I'd have to put some kind of comment in with it.
So factual versus subjective.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can see that. I also believe there is a lot of our society is moving towards, I mean, through social media, we've given up privacy. We're moving towards a transparent society. And if we're in a transparent society, I mean, I think putting it out there could be a benefit to you long term. It's definitely not a short term play because somebody might see that and use it against you. I know, myself, Chris, even Bill probably does a little bit, manages properties on Airbnb. Mm-hmm. Those bad reviews show up even though we don't want them to. I know they can have an immediate effect on the next booking. If that top review on that property is a bad one and they don't bother to scroll down and read the 10 good ones below it, it could have an effect. Or if it has a couple trigger words in that review, it wasn't as clean as we want it to be, whatever, it's going to affect it.
But at the same time, I would like to see negative reviews to give that honest opinion. And there's just some people that will not give a 5-star. They'll say, you ask them 5 questions, responsiveness, professionalism, tidy, clean. They'll give you 5 stars in all those categories, but then give you a 4-star overall.
Right.
Because they don't do a 5-star overall.
I think, and speaking more to that point too, you talk about Airbnb, Zillows, Realtor.coms, ones you don't have as much control over, reviews that people on it. What I would believe is a more honest review from people on third-party, non-content controlled by us, the realtor, the brokers, sites. I would trust those reviews, and you can't manipulate them. You can't necessarily, and I don't mind leaving them up there. But what do we do with Airbnb? A lot of times, or what do I see on Amazon when I see a product review? I'll look at the response. So if I see a 2 or 3 star, how did the person getting reviewed or the product getting reviewed respond to that?
That's where service comes in.
And what kind of service did I just respond to that review, and what was my response?
So I'm gonna go micro hack for anybody out there that happens to do vacation rental management in addition to. I
write his own reviews.
No, I spoke with a guy that actually used to work with Airbnb and said, whatever you do in your response, you should not address anything negative they said. Mm-hmm. And the reason they say that is because the algorithm picks up more negative when you address the negative. So that kind of discounts your response thing because you know you're going to have a standard positive response every time if you're trying to play the algorithm game.
Right, I'm thinking more in Amazon. When I see a product and somebody said this didn't work, and I see a responsive owner of the product or owner of that page or whatever, or saying, we're sorry for that happening, Maybe they sent, I've had ones that they sent a free thing, like, hey, we'll replace it right away. Like, I'm looking at responses, like, how's the company responding to that? Right. Same way on Airbnb, it doesn't mean we don't respond to those things. We just make sure that we're addressing it factually.
So
that one.
Let me ask you this, maybe there's one super tweak we can all do to our websites. Instead of calling it reviews, call it recommendations. Nobody thinks you're going to, then you automatically have a positive, you expect, when I see recommendations, I expect them all to be positive.
Right.
I don't expect any of them to be negative. When I see reviews, I expect a mix. I expect a mix. No, but I'm saying if you're going to go the route of only putting the positive on your site.
Recommendations.
And that's kind of what that's what you said there, right? With the testimonials, recommendations.
Yeah. You can recommend changing your entire business plan. So.
And just so you all know, when this post went up, and I put about that I questioned the validity of it, our own broker here, Chris Ward, said, I don't know, I may just be that good.
I mean, it just may be that good. I don't know what to tell you.
There are people out there that are that good, though.
That are that good,
Check my reviews out on Zillow. I don't have one negative.
Bill Yates is killing it.
He has one review.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big thing. Okay, so let me add, because we didn't have as many comments on this little, I don't want to say controversial, but this thought for brokers and booze. What do y'all think though, just of reviews in general playing a role? Like I think there's been more of a push in the last 3 years for you need reviews on Zillow, you need reviews like to be found to be valid almost as a real estate agent.
Of volume and.
But that
So you
volume
believe
isn't.
that?
But volume isn't always quality.
I think the perception is there.
Okay.
There is a perception. That's true. If enough people like it and said you did a good job, you probably did a good job.
Okay.
However, I'm gonna throw a little bit something out there. If anybody ever listens to this that works for like the MLS companies and all, putting in a feature where agents could review agents would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And we could that way agents could see, oh, I'm working with a 3-star agent or a 5-star agent.
So that's
our blacklist of agents that we work with.
So that's the Airbnb model a little bit, where you can, or is it Uber or Airbnb, where you can review, I guess Uber more.
The driver
review the driver, and the driver reviews you, like so that there's a little bit of checks and balances when it comes to reviewing.
But if we could honestly review agents we work with, that would be interesting information.
Yeah.
And they could do the Airbnb model where the review doesn't get posted till they review you.
Yeah.
Or after a certain amount of time.
So I think, and I would see that. I think the snowball of reviews, because I have lots of friends that when they search on Amazon or eBay or whatever, they'll look at how many good reviews does the seller have, how many good reviews does the product have. Like when I see software downloads, like how many. Yep. So is real estate kind of following that suit? As if you have a lot of reviews, you're going to get more clout as a real estate agent that people are going to see you as a better light.
It's interesting though, because I've also noticed and I think it's a numbers game, but I also noticed on Zillow specifically that it appears their algorithm, of course, boosts those with more reviews, but not always. But I will tell you this, they definitely boost people that spend more money on their site.
Okay.
Pay-per-click. Money always talks.
Which makes complete sense. So.
It does. All right. Is your glass almost empty? Closer.
Yeah.
That went more from a tasting to just a glass of wine.
It really did. So I guess we'll close out now. Hopefully you got some value out of this. This was episode 3. So. And
get your reviews up.
We're gonna be back here drinking tons of alcohol so that you all know that we are giving you good reviews.
Speaking from the heart.
Yes. No, we're giving them good recommendations and stuff. So cheers. We'll be drinking.
There you go.